What's your favorite way to buy action figures? And is one of those Facebook? Well, what if that way to buy went away? Is Facebook cracking down on groups selling to each other? Let's find out. Welcome back to the journey. And if you're new to the channel, I'm on a journey to collect the entire Star Wars Kenner line, starting from 1977 and ending at 1985. And I started this whole collection from scratch. So if you want to binge watch and go to episode 1, start there and come all the way until you get here, I'll be waiting for you right here, I promise. And in that journey, I must have bought action figures in every way possible. From going to toy cons, local shops here in my hometown, shops in other cities, Star Wars Celebration, in person, and antique shops. I mean, is that every way possible? But the easiest, the most convenient, and the way to find the most variety is by shopping online. Whether it's from a trusted online store like Entertainment Earth for modern figures, or sites like eBay, Mercari, OfferUp, Whatnot, or Craigslist. Does Craigslist still exist? But the way I've probably bought most of my action figures is from groups on social media, most notably Facebook. And about 2 months before I started my run, I must have joined about 20 groups on Facebook. And I did this mostly to see what I was getting into, but what I found out is I found out what a collecting community is like. But I also got to see what was for sale and the prices that they were putting up for sale. But I kind of got to be an outsider looking in on how the process was done. And before I even bought one action figure, I kind of studied, okay, what's the nuances, how do I buy, and what types of sales are they? Because to tell you the truth, when I first got on there and I saw that collectors were buying and selling from each other, I was kind of sketched out because I had no idea how they regulated each other, or even if sellers were legit or the way that they were paying was legit. To tell you the truth, I was kind of sketched out because I was always used to buying from places like eBay and Amazon. And at least you're offered some buyer protection and your accounts are relatively secure on there. And it's an easy payment process. But the more and more that I saw deals being made on the Facebook groups, the more and more I started to see that the prices that they were listing them for were a lot less than I saw on eBay and a lot less than I saw in my local toy shops. You could find killer deals on the Facebook groups. Then I started asking people on the Facebook groups a lot of questions. At first, they were probably like, who is this guy and why is he asking so many questions? I asked a lot of questions. But I started to find out who the trusted sellers are. But not only that, out of the 20 groups that I did join, I started to weed those down into only a handful of groups that I would actually buy from. And here's why. I saw that some sites didn't regulate themselves. They let whoever post anything up there, and they had no rules about how they sold. And I think it's important for the admins and the moderators of a Facebook group to kind of act as a watchdog and make sure that people who are buying and selling actually are legit, selling legit items at legitimate prices, and people who are actually going to ship you the item once you give them your hard-earned money. So by the time I did start buying on Facebook, it was from a seller that I had already talked to, or it was because I had already seen them deal within that Facebook community, and people were putting their thank you posts thanking that seller for such a great experience and a great looking figure. And I noticed that all of them like to use PayPal to exchange money and do business on. And there is some payment protections for buyers and sellers inside that app. And even though I wasn't picky in the beginning, when I started to become pickier and pickier about who I dealt with and who I bought from, that has kept me safe in this entire run. I haven't been sold coal when I was asking for gold, and I haven't been ripped off by sellers making excuses if I get a damaged or reproduced item. They have all pretty much been responsible and responsive sellers. And if you're enjoying the content so far, please hit the like button. That does support the channel. And also, please consider subscribing. And please visit the PadawanCollector.com, where you can see blogs, bonus material, and you can visit the Collector Depot for accessories that you may need for your collection. And the Facebook groups have become my #1 social media space to go to when I want to buy vintage action figures. I know you can do Instagram and things like that, and I've tried that, but Facebook and the communities in there and the groups, I think they allow more interaction, more real-time interaction. It's an easier interface, and it's best suited for large groups like some of the ones I've encountered on Facebook. And like I said, what I've noticed more on the Facebook groups is that whole watchdog mentality where the admins and the moderators really watch what's going on and they keep those bad actors out of the site, and they protect us inside the group who are doing legitimate business and who are legitimate fans. But back to the topic at hand. Is Facebook starting to crack down on groups buying and selling to each other? So let's break that down. So I'm looking online, and Facebook established its marketplace for sellers to set up online shops and sell through Facebook. So now any entrepreneur, business, service provider, anyone can set up a shop on Facebook. But as we've all seen with sites like OfferUp, eBay, and other applications where individuals can sell and ship items and services to a direct point to a direct sale, those apps do apply service fees and taxes to your sales if applicable. And right now with Facebook Marketplace, there are no initial fees to your item. But once you sell there are seller fees, which includes tax and a fee that goes to Facebook in order to, quote, help out and fund other programs for good buying and selling experiences. To help me keep creating content like this, please become a YouTube channel member. With membership starting as low as 99 cents a month, you'll get early access to videos before the public does, members-only live streams, extra entries into all giveaways, and special member shoutouts. Just hit the join button below the screen, and welcome to the Academy. But within buying and selling within private groups in Facebook that don't use marketplace setups and the checkout process, these are like buying things at a garage sale or a flea market. You deal directly with the buyer, but no real protection other than the loose jurisdiction of the group. That is, if they have rules in place and if they follow through with those rules. So let's take a look at Facebook's yearly keynote event, F8, where Mark Zuckerberg went over privacy issues, including his 6 areas of focus with private interactions at the top of that list. And a new redesign site-wide focused on groups and communities with an emphasis on regulating misuse of these groups. I wonder what that could be. And the lawyers make misuse very vague inside the service agreement that we all sign when we sign up for Facebook. And there was a vague mention and showing of this where he showed this group, which is a buy-sell group. And Zuckerberg said that he will remove groups if they violate their policies. Now, he was gearing most of this towards misinformation groups and those groups that are dubbed to have hateful speech. But he did say that in the near future, the Facebook experience will be fundamentally different. And with Facebook being known, saying one thing and then doing a complete 180 on the direction they go in, it's part of their history. Like when Facebook said it would be ad-free in the beginning, only to place in that option once the company went public. And then way back in the day when Zuckerberg slipped up and said that users don't care about privacy, yeah, that was a mistake. We all do. But right now, Facebook is only banning groups that sell what they seem and dub to be contraband or goods that are considered in bad taste. And these are generally smaller groups. But if they're going after smaller groups in smaller numbers of, let's say, 200 to 300, but if they're going after small groups who are buying and selling, but the larger groups, even in the size of 3,000 all the way to 30,000, they are monitoring those groups for sure. But soon in the future, Facebook will start to crack down on controlling revenue streams that are being generated within their platform and groups that allow open posts and sales of items without the use of a payments process link to Facebook Marketplace. And that will be the next item of business if we have looked at the past of Facebook and how they look to generate income for their shareholders. And I guarantee you that the marketing and operation studies that have been done on the potential capital gains that could be potentially generated by regulating sales done within private and public groups in the name of privacy and the user experience. And I know those studies are going on right now within Facebook. So in the future, could we see direct user-to-user sales go away within the Facebook platform? I don't think so. I really do not think so. But I think sales posts on groups will be heavily regulated and will be channeled into Facebook Marketplace sanctioned areas within the platform. There's always going to be user-to-user sales. Some things you can't regulate. But I think in the future, those are going to be cornered into Messenger and things like WhatsApp. And there will have to be an unsaid code for items that are for sale and an unsaid code for when you post pictures and you want that item for sale for a given price. I am gonna be affected by these changes if they go through in the near future, because I really enjoy just logging on, seeing what's for sale, and if something's there that I want, I just claim it because most of the great prices are on these Facebook groups. And I would consider the majority of the prices that I see on these groups are super competitive to eBay and apps like Whatnot, and even the ones that I've seen on other social media sites. Even my local toy shops, the Facebook groups blow those prices out of the water because it's pretty much a consumer to a consumer sale. But once the regulation does start on Facebook, and I believe it will happen one day, maybe not in the near future, but one day it will happen. Corporations like to get as much money as they can, and going after the little people, that's where they make their money. And I think once that happens, it's going to force vintage prices and pretty much all prices that are on the secondary market to go up, way up. Because once you start adding taxes and fees that the seller has to cover, plus the shipping, that's when individual sellers have to raise prices. And if you buy from Facebook, let me know what you think. And if you are a seller on the Facebook groups, I would love to hear from you. Are you using Facebook Marketplace already? Or do you intend to keep it under the radar and just do direct seller to seller with the payment process that you choose? And if you do sell on Facebook, what are you doing to prepare or combat this paradigm shift? Let us all know in the comments. But for now, I wanted to take you through how I buy something on Facebook. And since I only have 3 more figures left to get, this week I want to show you how I got my Luke Skywalker in Battle Poncho. Now, Luke Skywalker in Battle Poncho was first released in 1985 in the Power of the Force line with a collector's coin, and on the European Tri-Logo release with no coin. He comes with the Black Palace Blaster, and only the Black Palace Blaster, as I have seen the Gray Palace Blaster being sold with this figure sometimes, and that pairing is incorrect. He also comes with a soft goods poncho and a black belt with a holster for the Palace Blaster to live in. Unlike the Princess Leia in Combat Poncho with a removable helmet, on this version of Luke, the helmet is molded onto the figure and can't come off. And unlike the Jedi Knight version of Luke, this version of Luke does not come with the lightsaber. Average prices for this figure, loose and complete, have come down from where they were last year, showing up at averages from $250 on the low end to $350 on the high end. Now, here's how I hunted for this figure. When I knew I was gonna go after this figure for this week's hunt, I did look at some of my local toy shops, and they did not have versions of this complete at all. I think one person had a belt. But at the same time, I was looking at the Facebook groups, and one of the trusted groups that I have that narrowed down to is one called Rogue 5 Toys. Now, there's different ways to buy action figures on the Facebook groups. And the reason why I'm gonna talk about this is that a lot of people ask me, how do I buy on Facebook? I've never bought on Facebook before. What does it entail? So for all of you collectors out there who already know this, just know that there are hundreds and thousands of people that don't know how to buy on Facebook, and they really want to. And the first way to buy is called a claim sale. And this is where a seller simply places a picture of a figure at a set price, and if you are interested, you just claim that figure in the comments. But just make sure that before you even place a bid or a claim, that you make sure you understand the payment options and the shipping options and those prices before you even make a claim. And this goes for all the ways that I'm gonna show you how to buy on Facebook. Just make sure that you understand the shipping prices, where it's being shipped from, and what payment platform that seller wants to use, so you can understand and research the fees that you could be paying as a buyer. And I prefer sellers to use the PayPal platform with the goods and service option, and that protects both the buyer and the seller. But some sellers ask that you use the friends and family option, and that option comes with less protection for you as the buyer. So I would only do this with low cost items, and I would only do this with sellers that you've either bought from before or you know their reputation and it's a group that's highly regulated. So if you do this option of friends and family, just know that you as the buyer will have to pay a 4% fee for the transaction. Now, another way to do this is by doing a live auction on the Facebook groups. And I think these are the most fun way to buy because it's an entire community getting together and a seller posting stuff up and us just bidding for it, like an auction. But the same payments process applies here though. Make sure you understand the terms about the shipping and the terms about the payment process that seller is gonna use. But live auctions on the Facebook groups, those are fun. And it's cool because you get to see who else in the community is out there looking for stuff. And I like going to auctions because a lot of the times you will find some gems that nobody is bidding on, so you can get those for great prices. And the other way to buy is called a deal or no deal. Now, this isn't a live auction per se, but it is when a seller posts pictures and details of an item inside a Facebook post, and then potential buyers have to leave a bid in the comments for that particular item. And then when a seller hits a number that they're satisfied with, that bidder or buyer wins it. And I've done that a number of times too, and often, and in most cases, I've gotten great deals from those. But the number one reason why I like buying from the Facebook groups is the sense of community. You get to know people who are buying and selling and what people need, and all of a sudden you'll see that people are tagging you because they know what you're after and they know what you're hunting. So that aspect of the Facebook groups, for collecting at least, is what I really enjoy. I hope that never goes away. And you also get to see questions that people ask about the items for sale. And I've learned by watching that to start asking questions like those when you buy things, such as, is the weapon legit? Important, right? But in this case, we found a Luke Skywalker being sold on a Facebook claim sale from the guys over at Rogue 5 Toys. And I have known these guys ever since I started my channel. They have a YouTube channel called 5 Idiots Talking Toys, and all 5 of them are very seasoned collectors and know their stuff on collecting vintage Star Wars, so don't let the name of their channel fool you. So here's some reasons why I use Rogue 5 Toys as a go-to company when I shop online. But this could apply to any online store that you want to do business with. Number 1, they are collectors and they know their figures and accessories, what their condition is, and they know how to put a fair and accurate price to what a great figure could be, all the way down to what a not so great figure can be. And I've seen sellers on eBay overprice ugly looking figures that look like crap. Just because they are seemingly rare doesn't mean I'm gonna go out of the market value and pay that price. And online toy shops like Rogue 5 Toys understand this because they're collectors. They know the current marketplace. Number 2 reason is that they do not sell reproduction items in their inventory at all. And that's important to me because I am not collecting reproduction items at all. Number 3, like I said, they are collectors themselves, and when they buy things online, shipping is very important to them and how they expect items to be shipped to them. And they do the same thing when people buy from their site. They take shipping and packaging very seriously. And if you have to buy a figure, a mint on card, especially a boxed item, those things are very fragile. And you almost these days have to expect that any delivery service is gonna throw that thing around, toss it, kick it, whatever. You have to make sure that the item that you buy inside, whether it be glass or whether it be a piece of block wood, that item is gonna be safe and in the best condition from when it leaves the shop and arrives on your front doorstep. And the way that they package figures, it's like Fort Knox, within Fort Knox, within Fort Knox. Like a beautiful Star Wars Russianistic doll. And I like that they're responsive, they tell you when they're gonna ship things, and they tell you when some things could be delayed. Like if there's a hurricane and they can't get to a post office, they will tell you about it, which is cool. You should expect that from any seller. You should not be the one to have to hunt down a seller all the time. The seller should be responsible and tell you exactly what's going on. But in the case that sellers aren't responsible, that's why I have that checklist. So you can write notes down, including phone numbers, emails, and tracking numbers, and you should know everything that you have on order and when it's supposed to come in. That way, if that date passes, you can contact that seller right away, check the tracking number to see if they actually sent it. And if you want to get your hands on that sheet, just visit my website at thepadawancollector.com, and it's inside the Collector Depot. And plus the guys over at Rogue 5, they're really cool guys. They're collectors. You can contact them at any time and just ask them questions. So all of you right now watching this, ask them a question. I don't care what it is. Ask them how their day's going and tell them the Padawan sent you. So looking at the figure that we got from Rogue 5 Toys, this is what A+ packaging is, ladies and gentlemen. And whether you're collecting vintage or modern action figures, especially if the figures or the boxes that they come in are fragile, you want to make sure that you deal with sellers who know how to ship collectibles. So kudos to the guys over at Rogue 5 Toys. Now, this figure is in excellent shape. The major things that I'm looking for is the cape condition first off. And this soft goods cape is exceptionally susceptible to rips and fraying at the edges. And this one has no rips and very, very minimal fraying. Now, this one isn't for a grade, but it's for my case. But in the near future, I might be sending this very figure in for a grade and get a slightly lower condition one at a good price to put in my case. So the slight fraying on the cape may give me a ding on a score if I send this figure in, but the hands, boots, Palace Blaster, which has no bends, is authentic and has no stress cracks. These elements would give me a high score. And I did check out the helmet, which often has paint scuffs, and I found none. However, I did notice a factory paint overspray. And an overspray is when elements of paint that were applied at the factory isn't properly applied and found its way on other areas of the figure that wasn't meant to be there. So you're gonna get dinged on those paint applications if you grade it. This one will give me a ding, but hopefully only minimal points. So overall, a great looking figure. And again, thanks to the guys over at Rogue 5 Toys, and a link to their Facebook sales page is in the link of this video. So let's mark this Luke Skywalker off of our list that we got from Rogue 5 Toys on Facebook for a total price of $315. And we also have the coin that we bought for $15. So we can finally place this figure and pair it with this coin in our case, made by Collector Displays. And this is where it starts getting real, because we have 2 more figures to go. So what did you think about this episode and the speculation that we talked about today on Facebook in the Facebook groups regulating collector to collector sales? Do you think that's going to change in the future, or do you think they will leave us alone and let us do business as usual? Some people are saying yes, and they're actually getting ready for it. What camp are you in? But looking at what the traffic data is and looking at what the business data is on where Facebook wants to go, I think we should get ready for it, but enjoy things as they are right now. But I want to know your thoughts about this. So if you found this video interesting, please hit that like button. That does support the channel. And also, please consider subscribing to see more Star Wars and collecting content. And also, hit that notification bell so you know when episodes go live. I post videos every Sunday with bonus content throughout the whole week. And this is the first video that I'm recording without my little co-pilot. My little Lexi, who I often showed on the channel, passed away after 15 wonderful years with us. She will be missed, so this video is in memory of my little Lexi. But I will see you guys next time, and as always, thank you.
I remember the first time I saw Lexi. I had gotten her in North Carolina, and I had to put her in this little crate. And when I got to the airport and saw her for the first time, she was so small that she had tucked herself in a corner of the crate and wouldn't come out. She was so groggy and so sleepy. And I remember that she was so small that she could fit on my forearm. So that's how I carried her. And I placed her in the front seat, and she was so tired that she just laid down and fell asleep. And her ears and her paws were so big that she looked like a little Dumbo. But ever since then, she was with me. Yeah, every day.
You gotta stretch. Stretch.
She would go to the studio with me every day, and there were these long hallways, and I would throw her tennis ball to her, and she would just run for days getting that. But yeah, she was with me every day.
Good girl, drop it. Good girl, sit.
And she was trained as a hunting dog, and yeah, she was really well trained. We had school. We had school every day for an hour after work.
Next, where the flowers at? Yeah, it's a flower right there. Where are the other flowers at? Where are the other flowers? Yeah, there you go.
But basically now all the commands I give her are really requests. But she still goes to work with me every day, yeah. But she is the purest soul I have ever known. So pure. That's Lexi.
If you're new to the channel, check out the welcome video, or just check out the next episode. And please subscribe if you want to follow the journey. And remember, there is no shame in being a Padawan.